Priyashvaro hi atma guru gyanam abhishta siddhi tatapi loko na bhavantam andadir janati santam vidhi badakamaha. Translation. My Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend, the controller, the super soul, the supreme instructor, and the giver of supreme knowledge, and the fulfillment of all desires. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because the lusty desires in the heart, cannot understand you. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Herein, the reason for foolishness is described. Because the conditioned soul in this material world is full of materialistic lusty desires, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although the Lord is situated in everyone's heart, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Rish Arjuna Tishtati. It is because of this foolishness that one cannot take instructions from the Lord, although the Lord is ready to instruct everyone, both externally and internally. The Lord says, the Dami Buddhi Yogam. In other words, the Lord can give instructions on devotional service by which one can return home back to Godhead. Unfortunately, however, people do not take this devotional service. The Lord, being situated in everyone's heart, can give one complete instructions on going back to Godhead. But because of lusty desires, one engages himself in materialistic activities and does not render service to the Lord. Therefore, one is bereft of the value of the Lord's instructions. By mental speculation, one can understand that one is not the body, but a spirit soul. But unless one engages in devotional service, the real purpose of life is never fulfilled. The real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and live with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, play with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dance with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and eat with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are different items of Ananda, spiritual happiness in spiritual variegatedness. Even though one may come to the platform of Brahmabhuta and understand his spiritual identity by speculative knowledge, one cannot enjoy spiritual life without understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is indicated here by the word Abhishta Siddhi. One can fulfill the ultimate goal of life only by engaging in devotional service to the Lord. Then the Lord will give one proper instructions on how to go back home, back to Godhead. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanajana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Very happy to be here with all of you guys this morning. And right off the bat, Srila Prabhupada is making the point in the purport that we're not this body, we're spirit soul. And we've heard this so many times, but I wanted to analyze this a little bit more. It's important to know that we're not this body. The body has certain qualities. It's temporary, and it's also very painful to have a body. We have to do so much work just to upkeep the body. Even I was thinking about like physical yoga classes. We do these physical yoga classes just to keep the body healthy. I'm not sure if they have yoga classes in the spiritual world. I don't think Krishna's on a yoga mat or anything like that. I think everyone is good over there. But here, we got to do so much work just to keep the body fit, because the body can give a lot of pain. And there's also another quality about the body that I really wanted to hone in on. And that is that the body is actually very unclean. You know, we don't often hear about this quality, but it's actually very true. You can judge beauty based on its byproducts. So if you look at a flower is very beautiful because it smells beautiful, it feels beautiful, it produces nectar. But what are the byproducts of this body? What's coming out of this body? everything about this body is actually disgusting, but because we think it's beautiful, that is where the illusion lies. So it's important to know that. And even even if you don't, let's say you don't move and you just stand still, the body is automatically just going to start getting dirtier and dirtier. That's the nature of the body. It just keeps getting dirty. And we got to give so much work just to keep the body clean. So, this is an important consideration. And the Yoga Shastras also explain that even if you look at the origin of the body is made out of blood and semen. That's not too attractive. And if you look at the location of the body came from the mother's womb, and that's also quite ghastly. So everything about the body, um, it's actually a disservice to think that we are this body. It's actually limiting our true value. We are actually spirit soul. The nature of the spirit soul is that it's eternal, so it's not temporary. It's joyful, so it's not painful. And it's pavitram. Pavitram means it's pure, it's clean. And it's really important to hone in on this aspect, I would say. Uh, and because this is New York, I'm just reminded really quickly about a little story that happened in regards to how we're not this body. I remember the first time I came to New York for preaching services. I think it was summer of 2018. And I was staying with this really wonderful devotee named Sri Govinda Prabhu, who at the time was Bhakti Ian. And I was coming from Los Angeles as a full-on brahmachari. So I was very strict in certain aspects, especially my diet. I would, I was practically just eating dates and walnuts every day. And as soon as I got to New York, he picked me up from the airport and he said, "Let's go for pizza and ice cream." And I'm like, "Oh man, I don't know if I can do this." And he's like, "No, no, pizza and ice cream. It's okay. Let's go." And I just started to really pray to Krishna at that point. I'm like, "Krishna, please save me." But we started to go to the pizza place that he knew, and he was describing this pizza place the whole time. He was saying, "This is the number one pizza restaurant in the entire country." And you know, like New York, they take a lot of pride for their pizza. And he was telling me like this pizza place, it's actually not in New York, it's in New Jersey. It's like a big secret, but you're going to really love it. So we get to the pizza place, and there's like hundreds of people waiting to come in, but he's set up like these reservations and everything like that. And so we sit at the table, and yeah, you know, the pizza comes out, etc. And then there's this guy all the way in the back. He's like from Chicago or something. And he says, "You know, this pizza is, it's pretty good, but Chicago pizza is the best pizza." And then there's another guy from New York, and he's like, "No, no, Chicago pizza, it's okay. This pizza is okay, but New York pizza is the best pizza." And then there was another guy from Boston. He's like, "No, you guys are all wrong. Boston pizza is the best pizza." And then they started to kind of like fight. So I was just thinking, like, you know, we're not this body, and we're also not this pizza. You know, we get so caught up in our designations, etc. So that pastime just kind of came to mind, and I was just thinking, okay, then who are we? We are actually parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. We're parts and parcels of Krishna, and we come from Krishna. And especially in this purport today, in this verse, it's talking about how Krishna is our dearest friend. He's our best friend. The word that's given is surit. Rit means heart, and su means good. So surit means good heart, and Krishna has the best heart. And he's always taking care of us, he's always looking after us. But it's because of these lower modes of passion and ignorance that we're not able to hear the dictations that's coming from Krishna from within. And because of that blockage, it's almost like clouds that block the sun's rays, then we can't really perceive and see that light that we're meant to see. So this is the purification process. This is why sadhana is so important, because it starts to remove all those clouds, and so we can experience the light once again. Um, and this mode of rajas and tamas, it's always in the mood of constantly seeking validation, constantly seeking praise. Instead of praising, we want to seek praise. And we're also in this mood of just wanting trophies and achievements. It's actually interesting. The word trophy comes from the Sanskrit trapate, and trapate means to turn away in shame. So that was the original definition of a trophy, because when you receive a trophy, you want to turn away in shame, because you know that this was not done by you. This was all done by the Supreme Lord. But these days, we want to say, like, yeah, this was all me, like that. So in these words, we can begin to understand the true meaning of them. And we are simply a vessel. We are a vessel, and Krishna is dictating us at all times. And through the purification process, we can really experience Krishna to the highest degree. And in this verse again today, it's talking about all the wonderful qualities of Krishna. And when we want to develop ourselves as soldiers, as preachers for this Sankirtan mission, it's important for us to develop those qualities as well. When I was doing book distribution, my philosophy was always friendship before philosophy. And by me reaching out to people in a very personal way, that was the secret to being able to really reach them and to build a lasting relationship with them. And so I think of developing these qualities, I think about what Rupa Goswami and the Acharyas have laid out when it comes to the 26 qualities of a devotee. And when I think about the 26 qualities of a devotee, I can't help but think of Srila Prabhupada, because this is where we get these 26 qualities from. So today I wanted to share something with you guys. I've actually created a little presentation involving the 26 qualities of a devotee. And I think you guys might be a little bit interested in this. So let me share it really quickly. Can everybody see the screen? Maybe a thumbs up. Okay, wonderful. So first off, I want to say that these pictures that I'm about to show of Srila Prabhupada, some of them are very rare. Some of them you might have not seen before. And in spiritual life, you can make anything transcendental when you have that type of vision to do so. So there's a dear devotee of mine, a senior mentor. His name is Arjuna Prabhu. He might be even tuning in today. But we this game. It's a real fun game. And what we do is we send pictures of Srila Prabhupada to each other. But it's almost like a cowboy showdown. So he'll like send me a picture and I'll be like, wow, that's like an amazing picture. But you know what? I'm about to show you like a better picture of Srila Prabhupada. And then I'll send another picture of Prabhupada, and he'll be like, oh my God. And then he'll be like, you know what? But I'm going to send you even another one. And like that, we send like those green emoji gun icons as well. It's like a transcendental game. So some of these pictures, I just want to shout out Arjuna Prabhu because he sent me some of these photos and I've used them. And I'm very excited to share with you these 26 qualities. And hopefully, by seeing the inspiration of Srila Prabhupada, we can begin to develop these qualities ourselves. So without further ado, let's go to the first quality. And it's very interesting to note that the first quality out of the 26 qualities is to be very kind. And who is more kinder than Srila Prabhupada for risking his life, for getting on a boat just to deliver this message? He heard the message of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur of going to the West, and he made that his life and soul. And by making that message his life and soul, he saved our life and soul. So we are very indebted to him. And just some of the pastimes even of Prabhupada, like there was one where one of Prabhupada's disciples, Nanda Kumar, they were walking one morning in LA, early morning walk, and Nanda Kumar, he forgot his jacket. So he was feeling really cold. He was like shivering. And Prabhupada looked at him. He said, you're cold. Here, take my chadar. And the disciple was like, no, Prabhupada, you don't have to do that. And he's like, no, you're cold. Take my chadar. And this is just a very small example of Prabhupada's kindness. And as we go on in these 26 qualities, we'll hear more about that. So let's go to the second one. The second quality is that he does not quarrel with anybody. Srila Prabhupada had this mood of hate the sin, not the sinner. He never really pointed anyone's name out. There were so many different gurus at the time, so many so-called spiritual leaders that had all these phony concoctions when it came to leading people. But Prabhupada never called out individually. He just broke down their philosophy and pointed out the flaws in that. So Prabhupada's mood was always very peaceful, very into his bhajan. And for us also, for me, it really helps to learn about these 26 qualities because, sometimes when I'm having a difficulty with somebody or I feel like, even lashing out maybe, I just remember like, wait a minute, the second quality of a devotee is not to quarrel with anybody. And it kind of puts me back on my track. So hopefully this can also be implemented for you guys as well. So number one is to be very kind, and number two is to not quarrel with anyone. And then the number three quality, you accept bhakti yoga as the highest path. And again, we see this in the life of Srila Prabhupada. He had such a strong conviction of how this bhakti yoga can save the fallen conditioned souls that he was willing to risk his own life in order to save us. So it's a very heroic trait to have this quality. And I believe this picture here is very special in particular. It's in New York City during the early days when Prabhupada came alone, and he mentioned he didn't know whether to turn left or to turn right. But he has come and he has made us all turn up and brought us to a higher level. And four is that the fourth quality is that he has no prejudice. He is equal to all skin colors, all races, all backgrounds. And you can see that Prabhupada really fanned the spark. He didn't care about someone's past. He saw the good in them and he brought them up to a higher level. So to be true to his movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Prabhupada has really created that international society. And this is another quality of a devotee. And the fifth is that he's flawless. Nobody can really point out any flaws in him. And Srila Prabhupada, even with the outside folks, the reporters, the interviewers, they were so charmed by him. You know, Prabhupada made them laugh. He was always telling jokes. He was serious when he needed to be. And people really appreciated his regal character and behavior. So this is another great quality of a devotee. And also, he's very charitable. And here we see Prabhupada giving cookies to little kids. Prabhupada said, if you want to make a friend, give them a cookie. So this is a big secret that Prabhupada has taught us. And so much to say about this mood of charity. Whether it's through the transcendental knowledge, whether it's through the association that Prabhupada has given us, but charity is practically the mood of the Vaishnava, always giving, always giving everything that we have. And a devotee is also very mild. Srila Prabhupada was very mild. He was very gentle. And this is also a good nature to kind of have. This is a very mundane example, but when I was young, I used to eat at this place called Taco Bell. And in Taco Bell, they have 3 sauce packets. They have mild, they have hot, and they have fire. And I always got the mild because it tasted the best. So I don't know how this is in connection, but I just wanted to mention that. The devotee is very mild. And I love this picture. I think Arjuna sent me this picture. The devotee is very clean. And when you look at Srila Prabhupada, just the way he was dressed, I mean, super fashionable to me. He was always very top-notch pukka, I would say. So what to even speak about internal cleanliness, but even externally, Srila Prabhupada always came with it. He was always able to present himself in his best attire. And we should also do that. We should try to dress to impress, dress to express, and be very clean. That is one of the qualities of the Vaishnava. And number 9, he does not profess to possess anything. Srila Prabhupada conquered the world, but at the same time, he never claimed to be the owner. He always said that this is for Krishna, this is due to my spiritual master. And like that, he was not attached to all that that was being created. Actually, Prabhupada was known for constantly spending money. He never wanted to store it, but he wanted to use it to continue spreading the preaching movement more and more. And at the same time, he did not profess to possess any of that as well, but it was all Krishna's. So another quality of the devotee. And number 10, he's a benefactor to all living entities. There's actually a very touching story about Prabhupada in regards to this. It's probably, to me, the most touching story I've ever heard of Prabhupada, and maybe I'll share that with you guys. When Prabhupada arrived in Dallas in 1974, there was a Gurukul there, and there was all these children. And at the time, the Gurukul teachers were still very new. They weren't trained properly. And Prabhupada was having a program in the temple. And this one little girl, she was kind of like acting out a little bit. She was being, so-called disruptive, but as kids do, kids need attention sometimes. But then this one teacher, she decided to pull this little girl out of the program, and she basically locked her. She put her in a room. She put her in an empty classroom, and she said, "You stay here." And the little girl started crying, and she was very sad that she couldn't participate in the program. So then Prabhupada, he was conducting the program, and then after he finished, normally he always then goes straight back to his room. But this time, as he was walking back, he just happened to open that door that little girl was in. And the little girl was actually sleeping. She went to sleep. Her eyes were drenched with tears. Her shirt was all wet. And when Srila Prabhupada opened the door, it actually bumped into her. And the girl immediately woke up and she saw Srila Prabhupada, and she immediately offered her obeisances. And Prabhupada touched her on the head and said, "It's all right," and basically blessed her. And when this Gurukuli teacher saw that, she realized how far she had to go. She saw Prabhupada's mercy, how he's a benefactor to all living entities. And from that day, she really changed her ways when it came to teaching. So yeah, just a very touching story about Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is a benefactor to all living entities, and devotees also have this quality. And this is a very nice picture. Prabhupada is very peaceful. Devotees are very peaceful because we are not hankering after the outside, but we are really relishing the inside. And this is another very important trait of a devotee. And surrendered, everything is done through the will of the Lord. We are very much in accordance with Krishna's plan. We make our own plans, but we understand that Krishna has the higher plan. And at any given time, we consider whatever happens to us, any reversal, any good, to be the mercy of the Lord. And that is true surrender. And the 13th quality of a devotee is, of course, no material desires, only desires to give desire to the Lord. And that is the mantra for the devotee. So this is another way that we live. Number 14 is that a devotee is indifferent to material possessions. There's actually a nice story about this. When Prabhupada arrived in Miami, the Miami devotees, they wanted to gift Srila Prabhupada something that he has never received before. They were like brainstorming for weeks and months. What can we get for Prabhupada that's gonna totally surprise him and amaze him? So what they got for Prabhupada was a 24 karat golden straw, because there's a lot of coconuts in Miami, and they thought, this is great. We're gonna get Prabhupada a golden straw, and he can drink all the coconut water he wants out of this straw. So Prabhupada came to Miami, he sat in the car, and then they gave Prabhupada a brand coconut with this golden straw. And Prabhupada started sipping the straw, and the coconut water was actually getting stuck to the straw. So no coconut water was coming out. So Prabhupada was like, what is this straw? This is useless. And he just he just threw it on the floor. So indifferent to material possessions. If it has no use in the service of the Lord, then it's practically useless. So another quality of a devotee. And a devotee is very steady. In fact, this is the definition of a guru. A guru means unbudged. He can't be moved. And Srila Prabhupada displayed this in all the trials and tribulations. He remained steady throughout it all. So this is another important quality that we should imbibe. And of course, self-controlled is a very important aspect of a devotee. Um, the Bhagavad Gita talks about being like a tortoise and withdrawing the senses and only using your senses when we can engage it for the service of the Lord. So this is another quality. And this is a tricky one, but number 17 is does not eat more than required, especially when, we're known as the kitchen religion and we create so many good foodstuffs. But Prabhupada has given us the formula. He says that whenever we eat, we should have half of our stomach filled with food, 1/4 of it filled with water, and then the other 1/4 is air. And so we always leave a little room. We never stuff ourselves. And like that, we don't get lethargic and we can continue on with our service and preaching. And the 18th quality is that he's very sane. And Prabhupada, he actually made the insane sane. And so we're very thankful for that. And this is a very nice picture on the beach shores where Prabhupada took his morning walks. And I really like this picture a lot. Prabhupada is very respectful. The devotee is very respectful. I think that, there was a pastime. I can't forget which temple it was at. It might have been in Australia, where Prabhupada was giving a talk, and there was a lot of people in the room. And so the servant at the time, he said, okay, all you devotees, get up. We need to like rearrange the room. And then Prabhupada got up as well. And then the servant is like, no, not you, Prabhupada. I meant like all the devotees. And Prabhupada's like, huh? I'm not a devotee? Like, and then the servant's like, no. So just again, the mood of just being very respectful, being very humble. And Prabhupada always treated everyone with the utmost grace. So this is also a very important quality for the devotee. And number 20, he has no material hankering, only spiritual hankering, only spiritual greed. We do not really want anything from this material world that drags us down, but we're always looking up to elevate ourselves, to purify ourselves, so we can go back home, back to Godhead. And 21 is that Prabhupada is very grave. Devotees are very grave. We do not get too elated with the happiness, because we know that happiness happens. Actually, the word happens and happiness come from the same root, because it comes and goes. So we do not get too elated with the happiness, and we do not take the distress too seriously either. We're always center focused, and we're very grave. And this is probably one of the most special and famous pictures of Srila Prabhupada. And there's actually a special person in this picture as well. Can anybody recognize who that is? Whoops. So in the back with the hood on, that's actually Arjuna Prabhu. He happened to be in that picture. So very nice to see that. And the 22nd trait, quality of a devotee, is he's compassionate to all. And this is also another very amazing picture. You can see Brahmananda Prabhu just looking at Prabhupada. All the devotees are very excited in the airport. And Srila Prabhupada was somebody who he can walk through an airport and he can turn the airport into the spiritual world. This is another quality of a devotee. And compassion is actually the main dharma of the Vaishnava. That is our main mood, that we are in this mood of compassion at all times. And 23 is a devotee is very friendly. You can see Srila Prabhupada laughing, cracking jokes with all the disciples. Prabhupada was always giving jokes. He was always very happy, and he would treat some of his disciples like equals. He was very friendly. And number 24, very poetic. I really, I really love this picture because I'm currently recording songs. I'm in the studio, and so when I see this picture, it just gives me a lot of inspiration. And you can see all the acharyas, all the Vaishnavas, they have this poetic tendency in them, and it's actually uh, poeticism that really caught the attention of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because Prabhupada actually wrote him a poem on his birthday. And he said to Bhaktisiddhanta a line that Bhaktisiddhanta loved so much, he wanted to publish in all his magazines. Prabhupada wrote, he wrote, absolute is sentient, thou hast proved, impersonal calamity thou hast removed. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. You have proved that. Impersonal calamity, the teachings of impersonalism, thou hast removed. And Bhaktisiddhanta loved this. He loved this so much. And you can even see when Prabhupada was coming on the boat, on the Jaladuta, what was Prabhupada doing? He was writing poems. The Markim Bhagavad Dharma is a famous poem Prabhupada has written that said that I am simply a puppet in your hands, make me dance. So this poeticism is a very important quality of a devotee, and we should continuously practice this whenever possible. And the 25th quality is that a devotee is very silent. Silent does not mean that we don't talk, but we talk Krishna Katha. We don't talk Prajalpa Katha, but we're always in the mood of Krishna Katha. And this is true silence. So this is another mood of Srila Prabhupada. And so now we are coming to our final quality, and that is the quality of being expert. Srila Prabhupada was expert. He was daksha. And I chose this picture in particular because so many devotees were amazed when Prabhupada drank his water. He would never touch his lips. He would always be drinking from the top. And even when he would eat grapes, he would like throw them in the air and he would catch them. And when he would eat fruits, he would be able to spit the seed out into the sink. And devotees were so amazed at this. So this is just like one of the aspects of his expertism. But how expert was Srila Prabhupada to turn all the hippies into happies, all the devotees into very sincere Vaishnavas, to build temples, to write books all around. Srila Prabhupada displayed this expertism to the highest degree. And this is our true inspiration. If we can really imbibe this and take this in, then we can truly transform ourselves in trying to spread this mission to as many people as possible through these 26 qualities. So I'm very happy to share with you guys today this presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed these pictures of Srila Prabhupada. And if we can try to incorporate these types of qualities in ourselves, then this is the best way in order to teach people these teachings of Bhakti Yoga, in order to spread these teachings of Lord Chaitanya, in order to really spread and inundate this world with the mercy of Mahaprabhu. So I thank you very much today for everyone that attended, and I'll stop the presentation now. And if anybody has any comments, questions, I would love to answer. And thank you once again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Jaya Chaitanya Prabhu, for such a devotional presentation reminding Srila Prabhupada's various qualities and inspiring everyone. Anybody has questions or comments, please free to unmute yourself at this point of time.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Wonderful class glorifying Srila Prabhupada. We know that you're encouraging that we follow in his footsteps and exhibit these qualities for the sake of inspiring other people in devotional service. And there's a verse in the scripture that says, Yasyasi Bhakti Bhagavat Kinchana, that a person who has full faith in the spiritual master and is engaged in his service, all the good qualities become manifest. That happens automatically if we have faith in the spiritual master and Krishna, and we're engaged in their service. So devotional service is the the transforming element. It comes automatically. Just a quote. What goes to Prabhupada.
Thank you, Adi Prabhu. Adi Prabhu, when I was in New York, you gave everyone Christmas presents, and you gave everyone socks, I believe. And those socks are the best socks I've ever worn in my life. So I just want to thank you for keeping me warm, materially and spiritually. Hare Krishna.
It's not so much about socks, it's about love. It's a gesture of affection and an endeavor to serve the devotees. And we offered the socks to Krishna before we gave them to you.
Jaya Chaitanya Prabhu, would you like to add some experiences of you from your Sankirtan stories regarding the importance of Guru, or in general, any inspiring Sankirtan story?
Yeah, there's so many. I have a whole book with stories that I can share one day. If I was to think of one off the top in relationship to uh, perhaps what we were speaking about today and the qualities, as mentioned, the best way to preach, the best philosophy on book distribution is friendship before philosophy. And it's really important to make that connection, to shake hands with the person, to learn their name. Just like how Krishna likes to hear his name, everyone likes to hear their name. So as soon as I can, I try to learn their name. I try to say their name many times. And in this way, I feel like it really reaches them at a deep level. And, there was an experience one time where um, this this lady at a college campus, she just began, I had a book table set up, and she began running full speed at my table. She kind of looked like a football running back, linebacker, something like that. And she runs up to the table and she grabs all these books, and she's like, "Thank you so much for having these books here." And she had like a yoga mat with her. She had all these crystals. She was wearing yoga pants. She was all yogaed out. And I'm like, it's so fortunate for you to want these books, and thank you. And she's like, if this was maybe 3 weeks ago, if this was a month ago, I would have never stopped at your table. I would have completely rejected this table. And I couldn't believe this, because here she was and she looked like a devotee. And I'm like, what happened in 30 days ago that made you want to now want these books so badly? And she said that she was at a party on a Friday night. She was coming back to her car. It was probably 2 in the morning, and she was a little bit wobbly. And all of a sudden she felt something here, and it was actually a gun, and she got held at gunpoint. And at that moment, her whole life flashed before her eyes, and she really realized the importance of spirituality and how it's important to find purpose. And because of that experience, luckily she was saved. She really dove into these spiritual books. And I think there's so many people out there in this condition that all it takes is just a wake-up call, and then we begin to realize. And just looking at 2020 and looking at what we have gone through, I think so many have began to question and to understand the importance of life. And I've been just hearing this through the woodworks more and more. When I tune into lectures, when I listen to different devotees, they keep saying this again and again. I keep hearing it, that the golden age is coming. The golden age is coming soon. It's just coming up more and more. So I'm becoming more and more convinced that yes, it is coming. And we are at the forefront. And let's do what we can to spread the teachings of Srila Prabhupada far and wide in order to help this world to the best of our abilities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the inspiration, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, beautiful story. His grace Jaya Chaitanya Prabhu ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you so much.